J. Cole's new album, The Fall Off, is officially out on all streaming platforms and DSPs. And I just want to take the time to give a quick review and my first initial thoughts after listening to the album 4 times. Now, I'm going to start off by saying this. Is this J. Cole's best body of work? The only reason why at this moment I'm saying no is because I think that prior to The Fall Off being released, J. Cole's best album was 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Now, 2014 Forest Hills Drive has been out for over a decade at this point, right? We've had all these years to really sit with Forest Hills Drive and digest it and say that it is an undisputed classic. At least the general consensus of hip hop fans, whether you're a J. Cole fan or you're just a casual listener, most people will say that Forest Hills Drive is a classic album nonetheless. But I think a part of that is because of not just the sound of it, not just sonically, not just the concept, but because we've had 10 plus years now to sit and digest the album and let it grow, right? The Fall Off has been out for less than 72 hours at this point. Really less than 48 hours. So that's the only reason why I'm reserving my judgment at the moment on saying that it is his best album. But I do think that The Fall Off will age into a classic within a year from now. And as time goes on, I definitely see people going back time after time after time again to replay the album and thoroughly enjoy it. But outside of that, with this project, I don't think it was a perfect album, right? And I say that because while there were a lot of highs on the album, I do think J. Cole took a lot of risk on this album. The reason why I say it's not perfect is simply because out of the 24 tracks, as a Cole fan, I walked away from this saying at the very bare minimum, 18 out of the 24 tracks I did enjoy. Some of them I thought were perfect songs. The album as a whole is not a perfect album. And it doesn't have to be a perfect album, right? I mean, most people don't drop a quote unquote perfect album. A perfect album is very far and fetched. We might be able to name, I don't know, 10 or 20 perfect albums in history. You know, even some of the greatest albums of all time have skips or songs that were kind of underwhelming. So I don't take too many points off of The Fall Off just because of that, right? Like I said, out of the 24 tracks, after my very first listen, I said at least 18 out of the 24 tracks I can definitely see myself going back listening to those tracks. Now, for me, the highlight of the album outside of J. Cole's flawless elite lyricism was the storytelling. The storytelling stood out to me the most, and especially on disc 1. And that is why I believe that disc 1, aka disc 29, is better than disc 2, which is referred to as disc 39, because the way that Cole was able to take us back to the days of Forest Hills Drive, him taking us back to that era and, you know, letting us know what his perspective was like during that time, his mindset, you know, his return back home to Fayetteville, North Carolina after releasing what became in a lot of people's eyes his greatest album and biggest album of all time, right? The way he took us back to that moment, you know, on a track like Safety. Safety stood out to me a lot. Even 2-6. Now, 2-6 was not a cohesive storytelling song, but if you're from the North Carolina area, especially Fayetteville, you should know by now what the 2-6 is and what it represents. So that is why I say disc 1 is better than disc 2, and it's also why I say the storytelling really stood out to me. Now, aside from the storytelling, something else that stood out to me in this album was the creativity. And it kind of goes into when I refer to J. Cole taking more risk, as it seemed in this album, right? What If, the song What If, for him to rap from the perspective of Tupac and Biggie, from the afterlife, pretty much. At least that's what I got out of it. Rapping from the perspective of the two of them having a conversation, and they're, asking each other, or asking themselves rather, what if? What if all this stuff didn't happen? What if we found a way to make it work? Like, how would the world be? How would the game be? How would our friendship be? How would our careers have turned out? Would things have changed for the better? And for him to do that, it was very risky, but I think the way he did it, the tone, the cadence, the lyricism, him making very obvious references to things that went on between those two during that time period. I mean, what more can you ask for in a song like that? So that is something else that stood out to me, was the overall creativity. And again, the concept as a whole, I think what I appreciated the most outside of the storytelling was the fact that J. Cole, it seemed like he stayed true to himself. It was a love letter to hip hop in some regard, especially on disc 2. And on both albums, he spoke on his mind state in two different time periods. Disc 1 was the age of 29, and then this too was him at the age of 39. So a 10-year gap right in between those two time periods. He's talking about two different time periods, what his state of mind was, the things he went through, how he was balancing out the fame and the aftermath of whatever situation went down. He was also even talking about things that happened in his younger years before Forest Hills Drive on disc 1. So overall, right now, me actually, listen to the album 4 times, at least at this point, I can quite honestly say that at worst, this is J. Cole's second greatest project of all time. I'm going to reserve my judgment because I do feel that as time goes on, I'll appreciate the album even more. And I might even say that this is better than Forest Hills Drive, meaning that I believe it is his greatest album of all time. But we still have yet to see. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We have plenty of content on the way. Comment down below what you think about The Fall Off. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you in between? Let us know also, do you think if it's J. Cole's best album or not? Or where do you rank it all time amongst his discography? Again, thank you for watching. And until next time, peace and love to everybody.